Hello, my name is Andrew Thake from Mines and Money. Delighted to be joined today by Catalin Kilofliski from Canagold Resources. Delighted to have you with us, Catalin.
Very nice to be with you, Andrew, and it's a pleasure to, to tell the story to the investors. We have a very exciting, high-grade story that's getting into a production path. So I'm very excited to share that with investors.
So you're obviously the Chief Executive Officer of Canagold. What actually attracted you to Canagold?
Well, it's a very interesting company. I mean, the company has been around for about 30 years, and I was previously the CEO for about 5 years, from about 14 to 8 through about 18, 19. At a time when we really tried to make things go, markets was a factor of the things not being able to go through. So I decided to go and do something else. I went on and was part of the Tudor Gold story, which was a big success. Me and Ken, we managed to grow that company from 25 million market, which is really where we are today with Canagold, to at one point we were $500 million and being a major discovery. So I've always watched Canagold, and the reason is very simple. Canagold has the highest grade undeveloped gold project in North America right now. We have over 1 million ounces of gold, averaging more than 10 grams a ton. And as you know, in this industry, grade is king. With grade, you can afford many things. And luckily, we have the grade to pay for many things that are required to move this project forward. So there's been a very recent transformation of the company. Canagold has seen a significant new shareholder invest significant amounts of money in the company. And with that investment, there was also a change in the board and a big change in the management team. We now have a board of directors made out of very highly experienced professionals in the mining space. But more importantly, we have a financing commitment from our largest shareholder, which is called Sun Valley Investments, to provide the funding required to the company in order to advance the project through feasibility, permitting, and a production decision. So it's a very unique situation. Like, look, we are all witnessing now a meltdown in the metal space. The gold price, it's, pain after pain. Share prices are low across the board. Yet we have a group, which is actually a mining group, that is both technically capable and financially able to support the company to move the project through feasibility and production decision. So it's really for the first time in 30 years that we are able to achieve that despite of the current state of the markets. So we are very excited about the future forward, which actually just announced yesterday the commencement of the feasibility study, which is actually the bankable feasibility study. It's being done by world-leading engineering group, which is Osico Engineering, the same company that's done the work for Skina, which has been the darling of the market in the last few weeks and months here. A very great company. They are also going through the permitting process using the same type of people will be using, which is part of the Osico group. So, it's very exciting. We have lots of news coming. It's a completely different company than it used to be, but fundamentally from a board and shareholder perspective, but more importantly, from having the ability to pursue its objective despite challenging environments.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the main deposits? Tell us a little bit about, I mean, obviously you mentioned the geology and the quality of the grade, but maybe a little bit about the infrastructure, a little bit about sort of like its sort of history.
Yes, so our project is located in the northwest side of the province of BC, very close to the state of Alaska. It is a project that has no roads, unfortunately. So it has a seasonal barge access through a river. But this is the reason why now the feasibility study will be foreseeing production of physical gold on site, which we can then take out by air from the project. So, it does have somewhat of a logistical challenge. But again, this is where grade pays for it, right? When you have such a high grade, you can afford to pay the cost to operate in a more remote area. You have the grade to pay for additional operating costs as a result of being in a location like that. And again, having a high grade, what it allows us is to have a very small footprint, which in turn reduces your operating cost. We are really targeting about 1,000 ton a day, which would in turn produce about 100,000 ounces a year. Well, that's all possible because of the grade of the ore body. And 1,000 ton a day operation, it's not a big mine. And you don't want to have a huge mine in a place where you don't have roads and why not, right? So it's a very unique project from that perspective. It's situated in a First Nation territory, which is the TRTFN territory, which has been a group that we've been dealing with successfully for the last 20 plus years. Very proactive group. We really want to embrace this project together. Everything we are doing now as we move things forward is through the collaboration, through the partnership of the First Nations. We really want to be a pioneer and doing the project right, both from a stewardship perspective, from an environmental perspective. We are looking at any ways we could generate clean power, things like that, and limit the footprint of the project to be able to create a sustainable project and really a model for what can be achieved in mining. So we're very proud about it. We do have not only the support of our highly experienced management team, but through Sun Valley, they actually have a team of about 70 technical people of their own that we can leverage to. Additionally, really no cost to the company. More importantly, a bit more about Sun Valley Investments, which is different than Sun Valley Gold. It's a group that it's a miner. They are mining. They have 2 producing mines in Colombia and the 3rd one coming. They have technical people. They know what it takes to produce gold. And really what it allows us to do now as we go through the feasibility studies to come up with a product, with a study that's actually practical, economical, feasible, right? So we are not a company that we're just going to do a feasibility study and we're going to try to sell the project. We want to build the mine. We want to reward the shareholders. They've been very patient for way too long in Canagold. And now we feel very confident that we have, the means and the will to do it.
You've obviously mentioned there about the management, and you've obviously mentioned a bit about your background. Can you just go into a bit of depth about your management team?
Yes, outside of myself, we have Gary Biles, who's the company's president, and Gary was also the general manager of SK Creek Mine, which is really what Skinna is trying to bring back online. He was the guy that built and operated that mine for 7 years for SK Creek deposit. So he has direct hands-on experience in the mining space, and he's also worked as GM of other mines throughout his career. So very hands-on, very practical guy. But also very fortunate to have Mike Doyle, who's also a partner of Sun Valley, and he is both a geologist and an engineer. He worked with Rio Tinto in the past, and he's also the chief technical officer for the company. And really, Mike is spending actual time in the office together with us, and we'll be working hand in hand with Gary to advance the project through feasibility and eventually a production decision. Troy, it's our head of, is our VP of exploration, and it's again an ex-Rio Tinto guy, so very highly experienced individual. He's been very successful in the last 2 years, really more or less, with the drilling that we've already completed at the project at New Polaris. And he's currently at site, has been there for weeks, drilling still on New Polaris. So the board, again, I'm not going to go through details, but highly experienced people with high depth of knowledge and industry experience.
And just as I guess as one final question for potential investors who are listening to this interview,
Right.
If they do decide to invest in Canagold, and of course I would recommend that they do, what are the sort of like timescales and timelines they can expect before this project goes into production? And do you have any sort of major milestones coming up in the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, and there's definitely going to be plenty of milestones, with the commencement of the feasibility study, which is expected to take about 12 to 18 months. So it's not that long. There's a lot of moving parts that will, create news flow in terms of, things that are going to go forward in the study and why not. More importantly, we've been drilling now since about August and we have not announced any results. So there's going to be a continuous news flow of results from the current drilling, and we do plan to keep drilling. So you're going to have results from that. But more importantly, if you look at the time frame required from, the current state to getting into a production decision, which means, you basically completed your feasibility study and you're close to you're getting your permits. Let's look at two parts, right? The feasibility study, I said it's about 18 months, call it 18 months. The permitting, would take up to 3 years, 3 to 4 years, possibly, right? But why it's important to look at individual timelines is that as soon as you got the feasibility study completed, you can actually secure financing for construction subject to obtaining the permit. And at that point in time, when you do that, let's say in 18 months time from now, one, you would be able to, secure funding subject to obtaining the final permits. But more importantly, even the permits, you will have a clear visibility where you are with them, right? You'll be kind of getting close to finalization. So why is it important? It's very simple because, currently we are valued at, let's say, about $25 an ounce, roughly, more or less, so probably even less than that. At the stage when you are got the feasibility study and permitting, we should be more like $100 based on the current market environment, which is very bad. Anyway, right? So, that's your multiple potential based on facts, based on how the market treats companies in various stages. So, and you won't get there overnight and you will get there gradually, right? So that's where the opportunity for investors may lie, to come in now and have a look and kind of get their feet wet and follow out the process and progress, and then, eventually be on the other end when the project is valued maybe 4 or 5 times more than it is today by completing those things that we are working on.
Well, we were delighted to interview you today, Catalin. Would certainly recommend any investors listening to this to go and check out Canagold Resources. You'll also, of course, be at our Minds and Money London show on the 29th of November to the 1st of December. And once again, that was Catalin Kilofliski, the Chief Executive Officer of Canagold Resources. Thank you for your time, Catalin.
Thank you so much, Andrew, and welcome everyone to visit our booth in London and shake our hands and have a chat with us.